Welcome to today's webinar. Links is pleased to be collaborating with RTI International to host this webinar about the Employability Skills Framework. A discussion thread has already been started in the Links community College and Career Standards group to continue the conversation from today. Discussion is already underway. You can also find links to the Employability Skills Framework on that discussion thread. Within the next week, this webinar will be archived and publicly available on the Links YouTube channel. The Links communication team will notify all registered participants when the archive is available, and we will also share that archive link in the Links community. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Heidi Silver-Pacula from the Department of Education's Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education for a brief welcome and introduction to why employability skills matter.
Good afternoon. This is Heidi Silver-Pacula. I'm in the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education at the Department of Education, and we're thrilled to see so many people paying attention today and spending some time with us to learn about the Employability Skills Framework and understanding this concept and how it plays out in the adult education classroom. This is a really important topic, and we've seen a renewed interest in it, as you have, in these skills in our new legislation, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which was passed this summer and that we're trying to implement, get off the ground. It mentions and greatly emphasizes the alignment of education and workforce skills. We also see a renewed interest in this kind of work in the research world under terms such as non-cognitive skills or grit. And we look forward to learning from all of you today and in the Links community, as Jessie said, about how to integrate this information into the adult ed classroom. It's so important to student success in education, work, and life in general. And we know the best way to teach these skills is not in isolation and not as a separate kind of a class, like employability skills on Tuesday afternoon, but the best way is to teach it in context and weave it deeply into your academic teaching and also the occupational teaching. So we're looking forward to learning more today and learning from you all week long. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you, Heidi. My name is Laura Rasmussen Foster, and I am the Project Director at RTI International for Octave's Employability Skills Framework Project. And I am pleased to be facilitating today's webinar and would like to add my thanks to the Department of Education and to Kratos and to the Links staff for hosting today's event. I am pleased as well to see so much interest in this topic. And as we saw in the opening poll as you entered the webinar, we have a good mix of different types of roles represented today, with about 34% of you are instructors or counselors, 29% are program or state administrators, and we also have professional development trainers, assessment coordinators, and others here. So I hope this will make for a very productive conversation. Thank you so much for introducing yourselves. So I'm going to start with a quick overview of our agenda, and then we'll move quickly into our exciting presentations for today. The purpose of today's webinar is to understand how the Employability Skills Framework can be used by adult educators, to explore the connections to the College and Career Readiness Standards for Adult Education, to hear a presentation on a particular resource that can help you teach and assess employability skills, and to discuss other implementation strategies and resources. So we'll start with a quick demonstration of the Employability Skills Framework website, and then we'll hear from two content experts on the connections to the College and Career Readiness Standards, and then we'll hear from some staff at the North Carolina Community College System to tell you about a toolkit that they've developed to help support instruction of employability skills. And as has already been noted, there is an online discussion taking place on Links. So after the webinar, we hope you'll join us there to continue the conversation through the end of the week. Someone could advance the slide, please. We have a great group of speakers assembled here for you today. You've already heard from Heidi from Octay, and soon you'll be hearing from Meredith Lieben and Kay Forgione, who are content experts on the connection to the Ccr Standards. And then you'll be hearing from Bob Witchker and Frank Sculetti from the North Carolina Community College System. You'll also get the chance to see all of these presenters during their conversations with you. Next slide, please. Great, so we're going to start with a conversation about the Employability Skills Framework, which is an online resource that can help you teach and assess employability skills. Next slide, please. As a brief introduction, Octay's Employability Skills Framework is a website that compiles information on various employability skills standards and assessments and provides helpful tools to inform the instruction and assessment of employability skills. For the purpose of this website and for our conversation today, we are defining employability skills as the general skills that are necessary for success in the labor market at all employment levels and in all sectors. And you will find this definition here on your slide as well as on the Employability Skills Framework website, which we will soon be visiting. The site was launched in 2012 and has been recently updated to add information relevant to a variety of audiences, including education and workforce professionals, policymakers and program administrators, and employers and industry representatives. The framework itself builds on the abundance of work that has already been done to identify important employability skills and pulls it together into one place to show how these different sets of skills relate. These relationships are represented in an interactive framework. And here you see a list of other key content that's available on the site. But we'll go ahead and jump directly to the website, leaving this PowerPoint presentation to show you what it looks like in real time. Bear with me as it loads, please. Great, so here you see the home page, which provides access to all of these key content on the site. And one of the most helpful, I think, starting points is on these landing pages that you see along the bottom right-hand side that provide access to the site for different audiences. And you can see on this screen options for educators, employers, and policymakers. And so I think for this conversation, it'll be particularly helpful to see the page for educators. This page provides customized tips for accessing the content on this site, as well as links to important features throughout the site and other related resources that you can find on the site. As you scroll down, you would be able to see those. So let's jump now to the framework itself, which you can do by clicking on the icon here and from the home page and other places on the site. This framework is based on an inventory of employability skills standards and assessments. And what we found during the inventory is that existing standards overlap on many dimensions, although key terminology may differ. This allowed us to categorize and unify the skills into a common framework, which you see represented here. And it contains three main categories of skills, which are here in the green circle: effective relationships, workplace skills, and applied knowledge. And within these three categories, there are 9 sets of skills, as represented by the icons along the outside of the graphic. For more information about any of these skill sets, you can click on the icon to get a list of skills, and then click Learn More to see the underlying detail. So here I'm following the link to personal qualities, one of the effective relationship skills. The detail here lays out the results of the inventory. It shows the connections between all of the sources here on the left-hand side used to develop the framework and the skills that are contained in the framework. And as you mouse over these X marks, you can see the text displayed from the original sources themselves. Our hope here is that this detail will help you understand the connections across the different sets of standards and assessments and help you make decisions about which employability skills to teach and assess in your program. You can then further explore the framework by clicking on the graphic and returning to the graphic, or exploring some of the other menu options on this page. Another resource that I'd like to show to you is the Choosing an Assessment section, where we talk about unique considerations for selecting an assessment for employability skills. So the purpose of this section is really to help state and local education and workforce staff think through important issues related to assessing employability skills. So in this section, you can review some of the key considerations that make employability skills unique to assess, especially as it differs from academic and technical skills. You can do that by reviewing the overview section as well as the planning for assessment selection section. You can also understand assessment selection criteria, which includes both content, technical, and practical considerations as we click through them here. Then you can create your own customized assessment comparison worksheet, which allows you to select those criteria from the practical, technical, and content considerations that are of highest priority to your particular context, whether it be your program or your state. And then it will create a worksheet that gets populated with the criteria you selected and allows you then to research and review different assessments against the criteria that you selected. And then finally, you can click on the resources section and review a variety of different resources that provide more information on assessing employability skills. So we hope that you'll take the time, if you haven't already, to explore the website, see some of the other resources that are available to you along the top menu bar, and share with us your thoughts about how you might use the framework or the assessment selection section on the online discussion after this webinar. And for now, I will turn back to the webinar, to the PowerPoint. And wanted to share with you a new resource that you can see a preview of here that will be added to the site soon. And this resource is called the Lesson Planning Checklist. What we've heard in our conversations with teachers at all levels throughout this project is the need for help to understand how to integrate employability skills into your instruction. And as Heidi had mentioned, these skills aren't necessarily being taught in isolation, but integrated in with your other academic and technical skill instruction. And so to address this need, we're creating the Lesson Planning Checklist, which will allow teachers and other users to refer to the framework when they are planning or reflecting on a lesson and attempting to incorporate employability skills. It will help them understand the extent to which these skills were or will be integrated into that particular lesson, and then provide a summary checklist that can be shared with other stakeholders, such as your employer partners, the students themselves, parents, your program administrators, and other staff who might be interested, and allows you to keep a copy for your records so that you can look back over a particular program session and see the different skills that you've focused on. So that resource will be coming soon, launched this month, so absolutely please stay tuned, and we hope it'll be a useful resource to you. So as we transition to our next discussion, we want to get a sense of your experience at the state and local levels with teaching and assessing employability skills. So we will be opening our second poll, and would like for you to please let us know and describe for us your state or program's experience integrating employability skills into your instructional and assessment program. So please select the response that best describes your experience. And I can see the results are updating instantaneously. Please, the results are still rolling in, so we'll give you another couple of seconds. How about 10 more seconds or so? We've got 80% votes in. Okay, with 85% of votes in, it looks like we have 43% of you describe your experience as beginner, 37% as intermediate, 10% as advanced, 1% as an expert, and 9% with no experience. So thank you so much for your responses. This will absolutely help us as we move forward with the conversation, and we hope to share information that will be useful to everyone. So we can close the poll and move back to the PowerPoint. Our next conversation focuses on the connections between the Employability Skills Framework and the ABE Ccr Standards, a resource that I imagine many of you are familiar with. As a bit of context, I've included this graphic from the Association for Career Technical Education that shows the relationship among academic, employability, and technical skills. We will show you how this relationship, which is considered the 3 essential components of college and career readiness, will present itself in the CCR standards. And we'll be focusing especially on the relationship between academic and employability skills in our discussion today. At a very high level, this chart, which comes from the Employability Skills Framework website, shows which skills from the framework are found in the Common Core State Standards and the Common Career Technical Core. As you can hopefully see, there's quite a bit of overlap. So this hopefully means that you are already teaching employability skills as part of your academic and technical skill classes. And we'll continue to explore those connections in our next series of presentations. The CCR standards were released in 2013 by Octay and represent a subset of the Common Core State Standards whose content was deemed most relevant for adult students and most manageable in terms of being able to be taught in the adult education context by expert review panels. Meredith and Kay will be sharing example standards from English, Language Arts, Literacy, and Math, and then you can review the complete set of standards if you haven't already on the LINCS website. You can see the URL here at the bottom of your screen.